Toss to White. He's in! Patriots win the Super Bowl!
Welcome to Patriots Touchback Podcast.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome along to another edition here of the Patriots Touchback Podcast. It is review time of the Cincinnati Bengals time, and I am glad to announce that the Patriots get the win, 16-10 over the Cincinnati Bengals. We have got Nick, JD, Joe, and Kieran on with us tonight. Before we crack on with the show, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the like button. Tell all your friends. Follow us on all our social media platforms and follow us on our podcast on Spotify and on the Sports Social Network as well. Gentlemen, good evening, good evening. How are we feeling on this victorious Tuesday?
Well, I'm feeling very good. Thank you very much for asking. My special. So during the day, I become a godfather to my mate's little boy. So shout out to baby Alfie. We then dismantled the Cincinnati Bengals, and I won a few quid on DraftKings. So Sunday was actually quite a good little day for me. Yeah, I'll take more Sundays like that.
You weren't the only one to pick up a bit of cash on the Patriots game. I won a 20 quid on Ramondre Stevenson, 50 yards per half. So that final drive, when it came to that final first down, and I was waiting, I was thinking, if he gets the first down here, we win the game, and I win 20 quid. So it was, stakes were on the line.
Love that. Yeah, pretty much. Can 16-10 really be a dismantling? Oh, it was.
By our standards,
We ran the ball down their throat. We bullied them.
No, I can't complain. Good weekend. Nice to see a win. I can hold my hands up and say I was wrong because I had Cincinnati to win, but it was one of those games that I thought that's one of those that could go either way. I think next week at the or this coming week at the Seahawks is another one. It's one of those. It could go either way. So, I don't mind. I'm quite happy to hold my hands up and say I got it wrong. But there was so much significant improvement across the board from the team compared to what we'd seen pre-season. So, I'd rather be wrong and watch a Patriots win than be right and a Patriots lose. So take one for the team.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I had a good day.
Pretty much the same. Like I say, just happy to see us start the season with a win. Like I say, I don't think many people were expecting it at all. Good overall team performance, and the D is exactly what we were expecting it to be. So,
yeah, decent weekend for me as well. Although as my team name states, my team sucks booty. I lost both my matchups in fantasy. So not a good start for me, if I'm honest with you. But who cares? It's the W that counts. The New England Patriots 16, Cincinnati Bengals 10. Every single critic, pundit, football guru, whoever you want to call them, completely and utterly writ us off. The Patriots, 8.5-point underdog going into that game. The last time we were 8.5-point underdog and ended up winning the game was back in 2016. That was a long time ago. And what everyone was thinking of Cincinnati just completely killing us. If we'd have come in today and say Cincinnati had won 31-16 or something, we're like, oh, here we go. It's going to be one of these seasons again, isn't it? Nothing's changed. But we are here tonight in a victory mood, 16-10. Ramondre Stevenson completely running the show on offense. 120 yards rushing. Got the only touchdown for us. But there's more to it than meets the eye. The defense started where it left off last year, still playing at a very, very good level with our best corner back in the game in Christian Gonzalez, blanketing Jamar Chase. And then, I can't believe I'm going to say this, special teams. The big pain in our backside last year was special teams. We were awful. it was great to see that sort. It was great to see that sort of complementary special team football again that we haven't seen in years.
Special teams wins football games, boys. Special teams wins football games.
It does. Nick, talk us through your points.
You nailed it on Stevenson. I thought he was the best player on the field, to be honest. What impressed me is you've already said he hit 120 yards. Many of those were after contact. He'd literally been hit and he kept driving and he kept driving. So many of those 120 yards were after contact, and I get what you say about the special teams, because they really, like I just said, they were ranked 32 last year in DVOA. Based on this week, they were ranked number 8. So Joey Sly kicked 3 field goals. They were all bog standard kicks sort of thing. But that was just an improvement based on last year. They had a kicker last year that couldn't kick a field goal. So Joe's just said it. Special teams win games. That whole game had a very Bill Belichick 2001 feel. Do your job, concentrate on what you're doing, don't make any mistakes, capitalize on the mistakes of the team you're playing, and just play basic football. The defense absolutely stood strong. You said it already. It was a key foundation last year. Same again this year. Covington with no Higgins and Jamar Chase on a pitch count / being barely sort of playing, Covington was able to really run some special zones, and 80% of the defensive plays were special zones covering sort of using different covers. So you can't fault them. That was, both sides of the ball played well. Both sides of the ball did what they needed to do. I came into this game saying that the O-line was an absolute disaster, and it scared the life to me because I didn't think we could stop anything. Hands up, big Layden Robinson, absolute monster performance at right guard. He showed all the poise and strength that you need to be a blocker. He really did. He drove forward. He drove hard. I was so impressed with the O-line. They were so much better than I expected them to be. And then my only other thing would be Keon White on defense. He played 41 out of 51 snaps, 2.5 sacks on Burrow. His speed makes up for his cleanliness and his technicality that's lacking, but that'll come with time, And he had that good a game. He had a random drug test yesterday. So, is he the next Myles Garrett? Probably not. But yeah, when you get a random drug test the next day, you've had a good game. So yeah, I don't think he's the next Myles Garrett, but he with no Barmore and no Judon, he is going to be the absolute gem in our defense.
I did say this would be his breakout year for Keon White, and it needed to be, because obviously now we lost Judon, it's next man up. Who's the next man up? Keon White, and he certainly took it in his stride. And when he was at the podium as well, in front of the boys, he acted like a professional, just looked so humble, just acted so humble. Someone you can really get behind. I think he will be a team captain at some point in the next couple of years or so, maybe, because he does exude. He's a real professional. He's an absolute animal on that line, but you could also tell he can be. I think he has that sort of like man management material about him. Kieran, let's move over to you. Obviously, we've spoken a lot about obviously Keon White and Ramondre Stevenson again running for 120 yards again. 1 yard less than Jacoby Brissett threw the football. Nice blend of passing and running, but although that's probably 90% of it was running the ball anyway, but it's an Alex Van Pelt offensive scheme. What was your takeaways from the game?
Well, I think the game plan and the way we executed things probably went exactly as I expected. To be honest, I expected a lot of run game. Jacoby Brissett just doing the things that he needed to do to move the chains, and that was exactly it. Really, I was so confident. Myself and JD must have been pretty confident about Ramondre having a big game because JD already spoke about winning some money on Ramondre, and I played him in my DraftKings Millionaire Maker lineup as well. So. Knowing how bad the Bengals were against the run, I expected us to try and pound the rock, and we did exactly that. And yeah, Jacoby just did what he needed to do to keep the offense functioning. Was it great? It was very vanilla, but it was okay. It did the job, and I think that's definitely an uptick on last season because it wasn't okay last season and going back to the season before that. So that was an improvement. Yeah, I will give the O-line some credit. I mean, I think they only allowed 1 sack, but that was a 1-yard sack. So really, stepped things up. I still think the left tackle situation is a bit sketchy, and we'll come on to that in a bit, I'm sure, with what happened to Chukwuekorafo. But yeah, they performed better than expected. Keon White was just a destructor. I mean, Nick made a good point in saying, look, he's probably not the next Myles Garrett. But I think it was Phil Perry who said on his podcast the other day that he's very similar to the way Trey Flowers used to play. And I was a huge Trey Flowers fan. You could line him up as an out defensive end. You could move him inside. He could stand up as a wide 9 outside linebacker. And we moved him all over the defensive front, and he would rack up the sacks. Would he get 20 sacks a season? No. But he might get you 9 or 10, and he might be a consistent disruptor. And... Wow. I think that's probably where Keon White is going to be now. They're going to move him around that defensive line, keep the offensive line guessing, and he's going to be a disruptor, and he's going to get pressures, he's going to get sacks, and he's going to be a consistent performer for us. And I think that's a huge win from the weekend, definitely, because that Bengals O-line, although it's not elite, it's got better. And I was really, really pleased to see that. And then just finally, the point on the special teams, it felt like a traditional Patriots special teams performance. Brendan Schooler had 3 special teams tackles. There was a forced fumble by Joe Cardona.
Good old long snapper.
Do you know what I like as well? Obviously, we have a new special teams coordinator this year in Jeremy Springer. We're going to get getting confused with Jerry Springer probably a lot this season.
Not that one.
Lost in power, King.
What I like about him is he is someone that you can tell just buzzes off his job. Buzzes off special teams, and it's not the fanciest thing in the world, kickoffs and things like that, but he genuinely seems to kind of that energy seems to be instilled in his players as well. He's got that enthusiasm and that drive for special teams, and I think that's resonating within the players that are playing on special teams, and you can see that on the field on the Sunday. So I think all in all, obviously really happy with the win. I'm sure we're going to talk about some negative points from the game because it wasn't the most cleanest and prettiest in the world. But I think it'd be hard to come away from that feeling negative as a whole because ultimately we did win the game and our defense showed up and silenced a lot of doubters.
Absolutely. Joe, move over to you. Let's talk about Jacoby Brissett. He didn't have the greatest of games. Didn't exactly have a bad game either. He was safe, is the right word I would describe Jacoby Brissett. Very safe for the ball, protected it very, very well, didn't make mistakes, took the easy reads, which me and JD are going to get down to breaking down some plays, which we are trying to roll our eyes up out of our head about. How did you feel like Jacoby did throughout this game? I thought he was complimentary. I thought he did what he could. He almost threw an interception onto Hunter Henry. Thank God he had a bit of initiative to actually get the ball out from the corner's hands, which was a blessing.
Yeah. I think what you expect from Jacoby Brissett is exactly what we got on Sunday. I think that is the easiest way to sum up Jacoby Brissett. I love the guy. He's not going to be a guy who's going to pass for 300 yards a game. That's not his style. He just keeps it simple. He plays complementary football. He makes the handoffs when he needs to make the handoffs. He's got the experience to get rid of the football when he needs to get rid of it. And yeah, I think again, what we all would have been expecting from Jacoby coming into the game is exactly what we got out of him. And I think you got to compliment that. I think the scheming of on both sides of the ball worked for him. The defense again were just absolutely stout. But then offense again, he didn't have a lot of time when he was back there, when he dropped back. Protection again, I know we'll probably get onto that later on, especially at left tackle, which is I know we've had a bit of a chat about in the group the last couple of days.
I didn't like that hit on him. Hit from Hill. I didn't, and the fact that didn't even draw a flag really miffed me because I didn't think that. Was he down? No, technically not, but he was near enough.
If that's the other way around on Joe Burrow, that's a flag, and that's not nothing against Joe Burrow because I love Joe Burrow, but
yeah,
that's against your big. Yeah, I agree, man. Like if it's against one of your bigger quarterbacks, let's go Patrick Mahomes for example. 100%.
Oh, you get flagged. You get flagged instantly.
You can't sneeze on Patrick Mahomes.
It's the way that Jacoby slid as well. That wasn't your prototypical like baseball slide either. He kind of almost like 2-footed lunged into the ground,
gave himself up.
Like and then that's because of that momentum and the way his body has gone down because of that made it look so much worse when Hill came over the top and laid him out. Like, yeah, I'm with you guys. I don't know how that didn't get flagged.
I mean, compared to the slide that a certain Kyler Murray had against the Bills, I mean, what happened to Jacoby was basically third-degree murder. But anyhow, JD, let's move over to you. Christian Gonzalez. There was a lot of talk in the offseason and in preseason. You know, is he going to get back to the ways that he was in? And just as we're doing this, look at this decided to pop on. Hello, sir. How are you?
Lads.
Happy Gibraltar Day.
Cheers, mate. Thanks.
I didn't know that was a
Just
thing
got back
earlier.
now.
For anyone who's just tuned in, DJ just popped into the motion. So yeah, right. Where was we, JD? Christian Gonzalez. So you know, we spoke about how he would do a comeback through the injury. Is he going to struggle? He was losing a lot of reps regarding of Javon Baker burning him. The same with Jalen Polk at times as well. His first matchup was against Jamar Chase. Limited to 3 receptions for 14 yards. Lock down, as far as I'm concerned, regarding Chris Gonzalez. Okay, Jamar Chase had 62 yards on 6 receptions, but that was when he's like, oh, shit, okay, I'm not going to be able to beat Gonzalez. I'm going to have to go to John Jones or Marcus Jones because this isn't working. And you're muted as well.
He's
JD,
not muted.
I think he really is muted.
Looks confused now.
Apologies for that, guys. It seems like.
Come on, DJ. What did you think about the weekend?
Yeah, buzzing. Really, I was really surprised, to be honest. But look, it just goes to show what this defense is made of. If we're putting up a performance like that versus what they so call the Bengals Super Bowl team, let's put it that way. And we managed to keep them to 10. But I could have, with the fumbles and stuff like that, it was a really good performance from the defense. The offense, I think, to me, at times that you could see that it struggled, but we did enough, I felt, on the day. But it's not going to be that easy going forward. Moving on to like weeks 2 and 3, I think the offense need to start converting those field goals into touchdowns in order for us to maybe carry the team and get some extra wins on the board that we didn't expect that we were going to get. So, yeah, like I say, Chase, I mean, he was kind of shut down, I guess. He did have a couple of receptions, but they weren't large receptions. Like, they weren't long balls. They weren't anything. It was all kind of like Burrow was just kind of like bing bangs, short passes. There wasn't nothing that was I guess the Gesicki one was probably the touchdown. It was a bit unfortunate, but obviously he didn't have full control control that ball when he went down, but that was a hell of a catch and a hell of a throw, to be honest. He got beat by the defense as well. So, yeah, overall, it's really good. It's positive, especially for Mayo on his first appearance, first win. So, yeah, it was decent.
I think that's good. That's going to be huge, for Mayo as well, getting that first win off your back, rather than having to drag on. Can you imagine, if we had a slow start to the season and Boston media would just be straight away, they'd be all over it. Is this the right decision? Blah blah blah. So to get it off your back, first game of the season, was huge.
JD, have you got your connection sorted?
Yeah, we still can't hear him.
We still can't hear you, mate.
Unplug.
Come out, come back in again, mate. Anyway,
just while we're waiting for JD to come back, obviously a little bit of perspective on the Christian Gonzalez situation. I mean, look, we want to credit him for a great game he had. And three receptions, 14 yards against Jamar Chase is an outstanding outcome. Don't get me wrong, but this is also against a player that hasn't practiced all summer, that had reportedly come in with an illness, contract disputes, and T. Higgins was also missing. So they didn't have anything on the other side of the field, really. So it's easy for us to defend Jamar Chase, but perhaps, with Gonzalez on him and a bit of safety help, knowing that you're not going to get threatened too much by Trenton Irwin, by Josivas, by Charlie Jones or whoever. So there is a bit of perspective on that. But on the flip side, when they did have those 1v1 reps, Gonzalez did do very well. So we give him that credit. But it was a massive leg up for us not having T. Higgins play as well.
So far, he has managed to shut down the following players: AJ Brown, Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb, Garrett Wilson, and now Jamar Chase.
I think we forget it's literally his 5th game of pro football as well. It's unbelievable. And you consider the 5 arguably could be the top 5 receivers in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to have a big challenge on his hands. Look, keeping an eye on DK Metcalf, because it's not just speed he's relying on; it's size as well. Metcalf is an absolute monster.
The thing is, Metcalf is so linear, and he can't run routes. So you're just going to have to keep him from making those adjustments on the top of his routes, and you'll be fine.
Or just bump him off on the outside, maybe. JD, have you got your connection back now?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. Thank you.
I was going to say for the Seattle preview, but I actually quite like the matchup Gonzalez on how we actually, as our collective corner group matches up with Seattle, I think we match up quite nicely with them because Gonzalez is quite a tall, fast corner. And as Kieran pointed out, DK Metcalf has the turning circle of an Arctic truck, so he's not exactly going to be running any in-breaking routes. It should be a nicer matchup for him. I think perhaps I'm maybe a bit more pessimistic on this game than you guys. I think if you asked me after the kickoff, after the final whistle, I'd have been full on homer. But I think maybe this might have been more of a case of just Cincinnati shit in the bed in an epic fashion. And us just not. I think the biggest difference for me between this team and last year is the lack of penalties, the fact that we have a quarterback who's not, apart from his one errant throw that Hunter Henry did really well to break up, you said, Carl, he's not killing us. We're playing sensibly, we're playing smart, and I think that was what we just didn't kill ourselves. And that last year, I think that team last year would have imploded. And just not been as well. I think for me, the biggest takeaway, I was absolutely just floored with how well coached that game was. For a rookie head coach in his first game, I think that was the difference between us and the Bengals. I think we were far, far, far out coached them. The defensive game plan, the offensive game plan, everything. As I said, the lack of penalties, all that stuff. I thought we just did such a tremendous job saying, Cincinnati, you're going to have to win this game. And they just weren't able to. Now, we're going to come up against teams that are able to, and I think we will struggle in those games. But on Sunday, we said to the Bengals, you're going to have to win it because we're not going to beat ourselves, and they couldn't do it. And I think I was especially following Belichick and the great things Belichick did. I think Nick said it earlier that was a very Belichickian kind of game plan and style of game. I think Bill Belichick would be pretty pissed off to sit on his sofa and watch all these teams run the football and playing good defense while he's out of the league. And that's all he's been trying to do for the last 20 years while everyone's been trying to pass. I think he'll be pretty pissed off. But I thought for a rookie head coach to come in first and seeing the way the players responded, giving him the Gatorade bath, stuff like that, I think that just, for me, that was the biggest takeaway, where it was just how well coached we were and how much you saw those players want to play for the coaches. And I thought that for me is the difference between a team that's going to, like Carolina, that's just going to bottom out because they just did not seem to give a shit about playing football on Sunday, and a team like the Patriots who were in over their heads with the opposition they were facing, but they just seemed to really go out there and play for each other. And that was, I think, really impressive to watch.
There was a lot of third downs that we had as well, and that was one of our biggest Achilles heels last year, was we couldn't convert on third down. We were absolutely atrocious at it. Jacoby Brissett showed off some set of wheels that he's got on him, because most of the third downs we had were either 3rd and 5 or shorter. So, we were getting into third and short situations. We were actually able to convert them, which is, you don't see that very, very often. I don't know if you saw the when Gerard Mayer went on WEEI, I think it was on yesterday, I think it was. He basically, Joe knows what I'm going to say now.
Please do not repeat that, we will be cancelled.
he basically said he is the slowest, different sort of quarterback in the NFL, if you catch my drift. But no, it was good to see. He has got some wheels on him, Brissett, but it is just for third down plays. We're not going to see like Drake May go and take off for 15, 20 yards yet. Well, not yet anyway.
But I think it was smart. I think it was, for me, with his scrambles, but he had, was it 3 of our 17 first downs he picked up running, which is quite a high number, really, for, like you said, a quarterback you don't typically associate with being athletic. I think it was really smart, because you saw a lot of the scrambles where he got to the back of his drop. He didn't like what he saw. If he recognized man coverage, he just took off. And if it's man coverage, you know that the DBs and linebackers are typically going to have their backs to you because they're chasing receivers. And you're not going to spy Jacoby Brissett, because why would you? But he recognized that, got to the back of his drop, knew pressure was coming, saw man coverage, and would just take off and get what he could. And I thought that was really smart, because it just turns what could have been a negative play, like a sack, from the amount of pressure we were getting, to something that's at least minorly positive, which was really impressive, I thought.
Yeah, I think I give props to the O-line in that respect as well, because he's obviously seen those holes where he can make a scramble where he's getting those first downs. So the O-line at the beginning, the first couple of reps, I think they made a major substitution on, was it right tackle, where they took out that
tackle
Ogarafor or whatever his name was. He got subbed out. I thought Robinson did all right. Wallace was decent as well. So I thought the O-line was pretty better than the Bengals one.
Really good in run blocking. I thought they were fantastic. I thought, again, I think giving Gerard Mayer his flowers and the rest of the coaching staff, to 12 plays into the season to say, we're just going to switch left tackle out. I thought that took, in the middle of a drive as well, I thought that took some cojones to do as a rookie head coach, because we were having a chat in the WhatsApp group throughout the week that we thought he got like a PFF grade of like 1.7 or something that Doug Kyde reported that did Chuck Sikora for, and it turned out it was a 0. He got a 0 pass blocking grade, which you couldn't do worse. I think he had five matchups with Trey Hendrickson and allowed 3 pressures, which is just like abysmal, like so bad.
I honestly think one of us could go at left tackle and do better.
Nick, you're in.
Yeah, I think it was rough. It was so rough. But
I am the resident left tackle.
But I think the now got to be in question, right?
Sorry,
JD.
I was going to say, I think the fact that they, as a coaching staff, said that we need to make a change, and I thought was really smart. They put Vidarian Lowe in, and they could see that Trey Hendrickson was just beating Chuck Sikora to the edge every time. He was just beating him around the outside. And I think it links to Jacoby's kind of rushing as well, that I think it looked like to me, they put Vidarian Lowe in and said, do not give up any inside pressure, force Trey Hendrickson to the outside, let him go round you, and Jacoby will just keep stepping up. And that seemed to be Trey Hendrickson was getting pressure, but a lot of the pressure was coming kind of from behind Jacoby Brissett a lot of the time. And I thought they clearly put Vidarian Lowe in and said, look, if we just throw you to the wolves against Trey Hendrickson, who's a phenomenal pass rusher, he will crucify you. To stick him in and say, look, this is how we want you to play. I thought that really helped Vidarian Lowe, who has had his fair share of shit on this podcast in the past few months. I thought he did a stand-up job for what he had to go out there and do. I thought
it doesn't deserve the shellacking tonight. Not by any means. None of the linemen do. None of the O linemen do.
He's still graded pretty poorly, but he did better than Chukwuemeka for. And it does. That's what I was just saying a few minutes ago. Like, it does now beg the question: how much longer is Okorafor going to be on the roster? Because if you're that bad, and this is a guy that's got a lot of starting experience, obviously mainly at right tackle, but if he's that bad, then you just cut bait with a guy like that.
I think
we have this new Jones guy at tackle as well, the big 6'9", 390 behemoth.
Yeah,
Caleb Jones, rather. Sorry.
On the flip side, did you see Trent Brown? How shit he was.
Yeah.
Keon White destroyed him.
Going through the motions, picking up his paycheck. He does not want to be playing football anymore.
So done.
Not to say we told you, Cincinnati, about Trent Brown, but yep, we told you so. The guy's just checked out of football completely. He just wants his paycheck, and then he'll just retire. So, yeah. Okay. We've done most of all the good bits, and everything we've seen from the coaching to how we played, how the players performed, has all been good. Unfortunately, we're now going to have to go through a little bit of video reviewing, which JD is going to go through. He is the analysis guru, because let's just say a certain another quarterback that we got probably would have made the throws that Brissett missed. Well, when I say he didn't miss, I say he took the easy checkdowns, the easy flats, the easy fade routes, rather than looking up and throwing the ball down the field, which I know he's trying to be safe. You know, it's like it's like driving a racing car, beautifully smooth, but sometimes smoothness has got to be teamed with speed. And Brissett needs to sometimes, if there's an opportunity, if there was a window of opportunity for you to take a shot down the field, like we're gonna bring up a couple of examples for you. So anyone who's ever is this on the podcast, we do apologize. We'll try and detail it as much as we can. Okay. So let me just bring this up. Okay. Can everybody see the screen?
Yeah.
Everyone see the screen. Okay. So JD, take it away. I believe this was 3rd and 6. I believe in the third quarter.
Yeah, I think it was something like that. If you could use scrub back to the beginning again for me. So so it looks like we are in 12 personnel. So we've got 2 receivers on the field, 2 tight ends, and a running back. We're in the shotgun. Ramondre's lined up to Brissett's left. So you can imagine at this point, play action or run to the right is what we're trying to give the illusion of. The Bengals are in 1 high. I think what you're seeing here, and is this, we had a bit of motion, a bit of cheat motion from Jalen Polk, I think, at the start of the play. And I think what you see here, the giveaway, and why you're seeing now a lot of teams run these kind of cheat short motions. And motion's great because it's a really good indicator of whether a defense is playing man or zone. And as you see, as Jalen kind of moves in the field side, that little cheat motion, you see the corner slide in with him. And that kind of gives us a good indication they're probably playing cover 1. So single high and everybody else is in man coverage. What you get here is a lot of action in the middle of the field. It's kind of not quite a mesh concept, but something quite similar, where you're seeing Hooper, Henry, and Osborne all run in the middle of the field, across the middle of the field together at different levels. And the idea here, of the play call I would imagine, is some kind of designed, not technically designed because that'd be cheating, pick here, that you're going to bring a lot of bodies, drag defenders, because in man coverage, each of those receivers is going to bring a defender with them. And at that point, if you can see on the screen how close Osborne and Hooper are, which are the 2 receivers on about the 10 and 12 yard line, they're running really close together. So what you're going to see is Hooper's receiver, who's stood there on the left hash at the 10-yard line, is going to get kind of caught up in the traffic of KJ Osborne and his covering defender. You end up seeing the linebacker that's in front of about the 14-yard line, that's in front of Hooper, is going to be distracted by Hunter Henry. And he's going to drop onto Hunter Henry, which is going to then leave Hooper wide open running that over route to the far right-hand side. Again, you're also going to see on that side, because all this is happening in the middle of the field and the safety is going to be paying attention to that because you're expecting somebody to pop open there, you're going to see Jalen Polk left one-on-one on the outside. And what was really impressive in the scenarios where Jalen Polk was on the field and he was left one-on-one, he typically won. I think if you look at the reception perceptions average separation score, I think he had the 5th highest score in the league. So not only was he separating pretty well for a rookie, he was separating at a level that's elite, which is really cool to see from somebody in their first NFL game. But you can see Jacoby here is, and I do think this is probably a game plan thing, that he decides to let that clear out and check down to Ramondre. Because Ramondre was breaking the tackle every time anybody set foot anywhere near him, so why not give him a shot? I mean, he does lead him straight into the backside, the flat corner, who just absolutely crucifies him. So it's probably not the best decision he's ever made. I
will say this, JD. So I'm just going to just roll it back a little bit. Just about to release the ball there. This is his pocket presence right now. So protected there, protected there, protected there, and protected in front of him. Is that obscuring his vision a little bit? Because that's probably why he never saw Hooper. Do you reckon he may have had his vision obscured? Because the way I see it, he could just have shifted a bit to the right, seen Hooper, and he might have caught him.
I think
the last second.
Jacoby's probably tall enough that he can see through the mess there. They are only rushing 4, which it gives you the illusion of time. We have 5 blockers. They have 4 pass rushers. We should be okay. Should is the operative word with our offensive line. But that's, if you're spotting man and 4 pass rushers, you should know he's got a bit more time. And to be fair, as much of jip as we give the offensive line, he had, I think, an average of over something like 3.2 seconds to throw. A drop back, which is good. He's not like he was having to chuck the ball constantly. I would imagine, obviously not knowing the play call myself, that I think I would envision that his first 2, if not 3 reads would be within that mesh concept. There's a likelihood that Osborne is clearing out, as is probably Polk.
He's taking a lot of the traffic with him as well. So if we just go through now, so Osborne's going through the middle. He's taken 1, 2, and then the safety's about to drop, but then he realizes if Brissett gets the ball out to Hooper, he's now stuck in the safety's gone here. This safety's gone. He's stuck in no man's land. That ball goes to Hooper. That's a touchdown all day long. And Jalen Polk, all he's got to do, all you've got to do on that play is just beat.
When you're playing a single high safety there as well, you want them to commit. You want them to commit, and that's what he's done. So the safety's committed.
I also think you need to think where the position of the ball is. You've got an easy a field goal range there. So I think you got to think he must have been told, like, if you see something that's 100% certain, take it. If not, you're looking at not trying to turn over the ball in that scenario, or I can't remember what score we was at there, but in that position there, you don't want to turn over the ball. You guarantee like easy 3 points, which again, you could say Hooper's probably the easy option there, but do you want to take that risk? I personally wouldn't. I would have just taken the points, but I don't know what I've been told him.
I kind of think we were very fortunate to play Cincinnati in week 1, because I think if we played Cincinnati like midway through the season or to the back end of the season, but they are trying to chase points, or they are trying to chase, to get into the playoffs or win their division, I don't think Gerard Mayo makes that call to say, take the check down, take the field goal, because Burrow on his day can lead that team 90 yards down the field to score a touchdown at will with the weapons that he would have had if he'd had T. Higgins on the field. That's one thing we haven't spoken about. T. Higgins was on the field, so that was a bit of a that was obviously a help for us, because then it was just Jamar Chase and then everybody else to be dealt with. But if this was in the back end of the season, I don't think we'd go for that play. I think Mayo would have said to Brissett, take Hooper or take Polk. We've got to take a shot here because if we only take a field goal for this, we're only up by 6. We're only up by 6. They could score a touchdown and end this game.
So we don't know here what you spoke about. Has Jacoby seen Austin Hooper going over to the right hand side?
Yeah.
But do you think if he has seen on that frame here that he's a little bit conscious that perhaps the linebacker that's gone with Hooper and the linebacker that's gone with Henry, if he undercooks that ball, that can get picked by one of the linebackers? So has he perhaps seen that, knowing that if I don't get enough on this, it could be a turnover, and instead he's taken the easy route? But I don't know. I think there's enough space there for him to make it, but there are two guys there that could jump and underthrow.
I understand that, but as I said to you before, if he actually throws that ball a little bit more if he throws that ball halfway between Hooper and Polk, Hooper probably comes up with that because the linebacker can't, because as JD's already said, the linebacker is already fixated on Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry's coming at him. See, look, he's marking all the way. So his eyes are already set on Henry. He's not looking at Brissett. He's not a spy. They haven't put a spy in this.
And Brissett's got time in the pocket. It's not like he's struggling to. He's got a good.
As I said, JD, all he's got to move is shift to the right a little bit, and he could actually see Hooper, and more importantly, he could see Polk up the top and a free frame it there, just as he's released it.
I think, to be honest with you, I think for me, identifying that we've got what looks like Manic could maybe be cover 3 when they've not kind of run it particularly well. It could be a bad cover 3. I think if you spot that coverage, and you've likely got Jalen one-on-one on the outside, I wouldn't be looking anywhere else. I'd keep my eyes to the left, and then as soon as you realise, it was basically look the safety off to the left because you single high, come back to the right, throw that ball to Jalen. I think Dave made a good point there about the check down and kind of taking easy points. I think that's probably where Jacoby was at. As I mentioned earlier, he had one turnover worthy play. I think Mac Jones had like 23 in 12 games last year. So like that's, obviously I think he's trying to keep that down. But I think we were really fortunate that Ramondre held onto that ball because he got him. If we rolled that clip to the end, he got Ramondre laid out by the flat corner. And so I think he probably didn't see the corner and allowed him. That's what caused him to throw to Ramondre, and Ramondre takes the hit. But I think that was a risky play in itself. And I think jumping to that check down too quickly was a problem. And I think especially Polk had several routes, and we've obviously just highlighted one here, but there was several on Sunday that he was open on, that I think a more aggressive quarterback probably pulls the trigger. I don't know if the game plan called for it, and I'm sure from what we saw that it was likely Brissett was told, take it easy, don't kill the team. And the way the defense played, I don't necessarily blame him for playing like that, but I do think that was not a great decision. If you've got, I don't care how conservative you're being, if you've got a receiver 2 yards open running into the end zone, it doesn't matter how much of a lead you've got or how conservative you're being, you have to take that shot because that is as open as somebody's likely going to get in the NFL on a consistent basis anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so scroll down to another play here. So this was, got to pause this here. Okay, so this is the punt that obviously Joe Cardona obviously got. Obviously, we'll just scroll it through a little bit. There's your punt. As you would expect, nothing new, nothing different. Up in the air we go. Cool. So I don't know what the hell happened. I think Charlie Jones really made an absolute mess out of this.
I think Brendan Schooler does a great job on the contain.
Yep.
On that top side.
I was about to say that, Jody.
Fantastic job.
Yeah, Schooler done well there. And obviously that was Cardona as well. So as he's coming, he's just literally just left hand, knock the ball out, and that's it. It's going. It's gone. It's a free ball. It's a live ball.
Yeah, Cardona's just on the 20-yard line, number 49.
Yeah.
Basically, all that happens here, I don't think you can really blame Charlie Jones. I think Cardona just puts his face mask right on the football. And
Been there, done that.
Yeah, and then obviously Hawkins, Hawkins, our standout safety in pre-season, comes up with the ball in really good territory as well. That was on the third. That was on leading up to the 3rd and 6 play that obviously Brissett took the check down for. So we got points from it, which is good. You want points off a turnover. But that was all good in that. Right, scroll back up.
You want points of a turnover. We had a couple of obviously big turnovers in this game that went for us that were great in the way they happened. Obviously, but that one in particular, being how close it is to the end zone, is a huge turnover. But as much as we put points on the board with field goals, you want to start converting them into touchdowns. And we were fortunate that. The defense managed to keep Cincinnati in check because, if we had left points out on the field, that could have easily have gone the other way. But hopefully that will come. Hopefully.
So this one here, why doesn't Stevenson cut this one to the left? Now I was watching this in live game time and I wasn't wary about this. I didn't see the actual camera from this angle, Madden. I call it the Madden camera because that's how you usually face it when you're playing Madden anyway. So Ramondre Stevenson, he's got through the hole. One man to beat, and he decides to cut right. He cuts left. Does he go to the house?
Because the defender's already committing to going left. That's why he's trying to cut to the other side.
Yeah,
his feet are planted there. See, so that's why he's decided to cut the other way.
Yeah, but I think
he's going to have.
Yeah, but Stevenson changed motion. Yeah, Stevenson changed motion before the corner. So look, I love this forward thing. I'm enjoying it.
He's already committed. The safety there is already committed. He wants.
Yeah.
He's expecting Stevenson to go to Stevenson's left. His weight's that side, so Stevenson simply.
And then he goes right.
I seen this on Twitter as well. I don't get the big deal with it. It's a split at the moment thing that happens.
I don't think it's. I think the guy's not got a point at all.
I think if we just go back to 100 plays, you could watch 100 plays in all the different games over this last weekend, and you could probably pick out 100 different.
I'd like to defend Ramondre on this one because I actually think he makes a smart decision here. Because I think he's one-on-one in open space. It is a brilliant tackle by Geno Stone, who does a great job to slow him down. I think the issue here is he's just shook somebody off, so he's going to be slowing down. Geno Stone's coming down at full speed. I think if he tries to go break it to the left of the sideline, he's also got the ball in his right arm, which means he has to risk switching ball carrying arms. And he's only 5 yards away from a player, which is a risky thing to do in order to get a stiff arm. If he just runs to the left, his ball carrying arm is adjacent to the tackler, which means he has to try and truck him, which puts him in an awkward spot. Again, you truck him with the ball. You don't really want to do that. So I think cutting up and taking the yards are there. I don't think, especially when you've got somebody at full speed going the other direction, I don't think that's a bad instinctual cut. I think Geno Stone just makes a nice tackle. I think as I don't know, I think, maybe he could cut to the left, but I don't think it's a particularly wise move.
I think the problem you've got is people, and I don't know who it was who posted this, but they've played Madden one too many times and think that they're an NFL pro player, and it's just, you just want to tell them.
Yeah, it could be what JD said. It's all about where the ball is, in what hand.
100%.
Is he exposing yourself for him to punch it out if he's not got it in the right side that he's cutting? I don't know, but
football 101. You keep the ball away from the defender. You always keep it to the sidelines.
Yeah, and to be fair to Ramon, and to be fair to Ramondre, look, he's cleared the safety.
Got tripped up. If not, he would have. Yeah,
he cleared the safety. He never got touched. I think it was number 55 here who
I thought he got
managed to make the last ditch tackle. So, I think we got to cut some slack here on Stevenson with that, because he did rush for 120 yards and scored us our only touchdown of the game. So,
and equally as well, Ramondre is not a burner. He's not a Devon Achan. He's not someone who's got 4.3 speed. So if a guy with 4.3 speed is sizing that guy up, he might be able to shift to the left and just blaze him on the outside. But that isn't Ramondre.
Look at much green. There you go. Is it coming up now? Look how much green there is. A 4-3 running back will just go ping, see you later.
Yeah, it's about changing direction as well because Ramondre is squared up there.
He is
So
squared
he
up.
he has to change direction. It's not like he's running to the left already. I think if his body position had him already going to the left, but the corners kind of spun him and he's more facing inside. I think if his body is positioned to the left there, I think he does just go for it. But I think because he's squared up,
He's squared up there. So he's squared up there. So now he's in one of two minds. He either goes or he's already thinking, I'm cutting back to the right here.
And in all fairness, Logan Wilson from 55, you can see him just on the right side of the screen there. He does a fantastic job to come off essentially two offensive linemen to track back and make that. Because if he doesn't, I think Ramondre probably takes that to the house.
No, and also credit to number 64 as well for the Patriots. I'm not sure who number 64 was for us. That was Robinson. I'm looking back at that play and I'm actually wondering, he's very clever. He was very clever there not to hold him. I can't see him. No, Layden Robinson didn't hold anywhere part of that. So that could have easily have been a holding penalty on Robinson, but he let go of Wilson he didn't hold Wilson at all, and that play stood there. That could easily have been a 10-yard penalty.
Yeah, Wilson's the read player. He's the running duo, and he's the read backer on that play. So Ramondre Stevenson looks at what Logan Wilson's doing, and if Logan Wilson sticks like he does, he busts that to the left. If Logan Wilson pursues, he cut that back into the middle of the field. But Logan Wilson sticks and still manages to come across. I mean, to be fair, Logan Wilson's a brilliant linebacker, and he made a really nice play on that, which stopped a touchdown.
I think it's fair to say, though, that Michael Hurley, if you do listen to the podcast, stick to your radio show because you don't have a clue about football.
Hurley? Oh, yeah, okay, fair enough. So we'll move into the bit more of a defensive side of the ball. So Patriots edge, Keon White being Bengals right tackle and ex-Patriots tackle, Trent Brown, with an inside rush move, two-hand swipe finisher for a strip sack on the second play of the game. White had 3 QB pressures and 2.5 sacks on Sunday. DJ, so there's Keon White right here on the left-hand side.
Mm-hmm. So Keon is obviously going to try and attack Burrow's left-hand side, but watch how Trent is just not even ready for it. A guy of his caliber and experience, you would have thought for a second-year rookie, you would have been able to put some kind of a dent to allow that, but he's already lost the battle there. He's just puts his arms down under, he goes up and then across. It's just. But
as soon as you got past the right tackle, that's it. Straight at Joe Burrow. It's about it shouldn't be that straightforward, but Burrow he hits.
I'm not sure if it was a miscommunication on the line because you see the guy swipe going across. If you roll back a bit to the beginning, you'll see some guy like literally run past whoever that player is. Is that Gesicki?
That would have been Gesicki or
that's
Gesicki.
He's just there.
I don't know if he was maybe meant to bump him.
Yeah, just
and then
chip.
Take a run, like chip him. Yeah, but he obviously doesn't, and then Trent is just lost.
Going again, yeah. So there was no bump there from Gesicki on White. So I think I think he missed an assignment there because what Travis Kelce tends to do, he doesn't block, he just bumps and then runs into the
Gronk used to do it all the time. Yeah,
Gronk done it all the time.
Yeah, but Trent was just not ready for that type of rush.
If you look at the freeze frame here as well on Anthony Jennings, who is obviously primarily an outside linebacker rather than a defensive end, but he gets really good leverage on Orlando Brown as well. Like Definitely. You wouldn't expect. Orlando Brown is a massive offensive tackle, and Jennings gets right up, really good, like high up in his pads and drives him back. And if someone else had been coming on a blitz from perhaps middle linebacker, if it is Sensive Eye or Bentley, that definitely would have been a sack there.
Yeah, definitely. Scroll up. I've got to keep pausing stuff now. Christian Gonzalez looking up Jamal Chase in man coverage. Very, very smooth. So here we go. This has already been posted already. So There's Gonzalez, one-on-one with Chase. I call this just sticky man-to-man coverage, what he just does on Chase. And this is what he is so good at. So, bit of motion there from the receiver there. Just watch Gonzalez. He's got just his eyes on him. Jamar turns. He's already anticipating it. So he's like, no, I'm still stuck to you. Just literally, there's nowhere for him to go.
I don't think people appreciate how athletic that is from a cornerback to be able to turn like that as well. Like running that like out route that Chase is running, like the whole point of running the out route is you sell the inside and then come back out. So in order not, the cornerback isn't supposed to be able to move like that to literally stick there. It's supposed to get that separation on your out cut.
Yeah.
And it's just phenomenal football by.
Yeah, I think Burrow did have a chance on to go on the slant, but I think one of our middle linebackers crosses that vision pattern there. So he could have had, if you go there, he should have slotted it in there. But if you see this guy that's running across, he kind of takes away.
You're going to get your receiver
there.
Yeah,
that's it. So he would have maybe got the pick there, but that would have been probably the prime chance to slot it through.
There was nothing there for Burrow, so he's been bumped off, so he's no good. Gonzalez is one-on-one with.
That's where I think he should have gone, but our middle linebackers in the middle, he wouldn't have been able to go.
But then there's that receiver there going after. Is that? I can't remember. I can't pronounce the guy's name now.
Ishiax or
whatever his name is. Yeah, so he could have gone with Jonathan Jones there, but Jones is ahead of him. So unless he cuts back on a comeback, then.
The issue as well is you can't throw to the stem of a route. So Chase is running an out route there. So he's not going to look until he breaks on his out. So Burrow could throw that, but even if he throws an accurate throw, he'll just hit Chase in the back of the head because he's not going to look on the stem of an out route in that play because it's just not designed.
It's literally not looking until he's made that cut. Like that's if you as a quarterback and as a receiver, you want that ball. As soon as you've made that cut, that ball should be in the air.
Yeah, Gonzalez.
He just does not have that option because Gonzalez.
I mean, you can see both the receivers down the field are so well covered. Gonzalez's eye discipline on that is phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
He never takes his eye off Chase's hips. His body position, how he stays low, and that's what gives him his ability to kind of turn 180 degrees and run with him on the out route.
Yeah.
I think that's what you see. That's what Gonzalez is good at, using his size. Because you see as well. Does a really good job because if we just rewind it back to sort of around the point where Chase breaks off on his route, the out route, you can kind of see that he does a fantastic job of staying outside of Jamar Chase.
Yep.
So just a bit further back, please, Carl, just to the point where just before Chase cuts to the outside. So yeah, keep going. There. So there you can see he knows he's got safety help in the middle. He can see that so if Chase runs a post route, which is really the big threat at that point, he knows we're in trouble. He knows the safety will pick that up for him, so he's okay. So he sits on the outside, knowing that if any out routes have to come, he either has to run into me or around me. And what you see when you play it is Chase has to kind of slow down and bring himself back underneath Gonzalez, because if he runs over the top of him, A, Gonzalez is too fast for that, and B, that immediately puts Gonzalez between Burrow and Chase. So he has to slow down and come back under him, which means...
If Gonzalez was on his left-hand side, he would have then gone out, and it would have been easy throw.
As a receiver there, you want to find a way to get Gonzalez either ahead of you...
You'll have leverage on the outside, yeah.
Mm-hmm. The whole point of that break as a receiver is to basically shake that defender. So
but he can't do that. Gonzalez stays so disciplined that he can't get there.
Yeah, it's elite. It's like, I know we've said it a lot, but that is absolutely elite defensive back play.
It's fantastic, and I think for me, I would like to see a lot more man coverage with Gonzalez, similar to what we used to do with Rivas or Gilmore, where we would just say, stick you in man coverage on somebody and run it. I think when he's in zone, I think he didn't look as strong, and he gave up a couple of first downs and catches. I don't think he looks as strong in zone because his instincts aren't wonderful in zone, but in man, I think he's phenomenal.
And it's going back to what, again, I know going back to what Bill always said, like he eliminates your prime target, your best target, and then you're going to have to find out other ways to defeat us. And that's kind of what happened, where Gonzalez locked down Chase basically the whole game. And the Bengals kind of like didn't have any answer.
Okay.
No running game, and there was no Higgins inside.
One more play, and then and then that's the end of our review. So one more. Polk Bottom was a ham fight to beat his man deep. We said could Brissett take some shots down the field. He didn't really decided to do that. So we're going to start the play there. Just watch Polk on the bottom. There. He's already thrown that up.
He's already
Brissett's looking on Brissett's looking on the left there. He's all right. He's only gone to one read. If he actually goes to a second read, he would actually find Polk has beaten his man. If I screen one more second, now he is ahead. One more second. Right. Look at the gap now. That's a 2-yard gap. He puts that in the bucket. He takes it to the house. So I just, listen. I'm going to turn this off now. So
you've got to remember, he's got such a short amount of time to make those reads. If he looks at that first read, which is probably top of the screen, and he sees that read is already materializing the way it is, in the NFL, that's a good enough option. You can't, how many times did we talk about how last year Mac Jones, he couldn't go through all his reads because he wanted to go through read 1, check to read 2, check to read 3, and then by the time he wanted to go back to 1, it had already been and gone and he'd missed it. So I can understand Brissett missing the second read. If he thinks that first read is good enough at the NFL level, you're going to go with that first read. If Polk had been his first read, it would have gone Polk all day because he'd broken his man quickly. So I think that's just unfortunate of the way the reads fell, and he was reading to his right before he read to his left.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that particular one was probably going to Thornton, if I'm not mistaken. And it was literally Thornton, you run straight and try and outpace him. I'm just going to lob it over, and obviously it didn't materialize that way. But I think that was just the mindset.
The thing is as well that Brissett is not the most mobile of quarterbacks, so he can scramble, as we saw. He can rush on short third downs and so on. But he's not like a scrambling quarterback who could actually get out into open space and actually fly and actually throw on the run. Drake May is that quarterback that could potentially do that. If he sees Polk, he could actually just do an end around and actually run off the left and actually make the throw. That's the sort of different fundamentals. But we are still trying to protect the ball at the same time as well. So I can understand why, and so on. At the end of the day,
just quickly on Jacoby, was again before we move on. I think we've spoken about how he did what he needed to do, and there was definitely some positives to his performance in terms of protecting the ball and making the right decisions. But I came away from that game with a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? Optimism for when Drake May gets in there, because that's a much more talented quarterback that that will make those ballsier decisions, that will be able to make better throws, that will be able to get on the run and make things happen outside of structure. So I came away with a lot of optimism, saying if our offense can look that functional with a less talented quarterback, I'm excited for what the offense will look like when we have potentially our franchise QB in there.
Indeed. So, Seahawks this Sunday, first game at Gillette Stadium. We are at home. What sort of optimism are we going into with this game, knowing that what we've done is great, but now Mike McDonald, the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks, has now got tape on what it is that the Patriots do. There is a perfectly good explanation of just completely stacking the box. And even though we utilize our running game, they're going to want to stack the box. They're going to try and stop our running game, and they're going to want to put the ball in Brissett's hands.
I think
go on, Nick.
if you look at the fact that you've got two defensive head coaches that are new to their role, that are inexperienced. I mean, Mike McDonald's come from the Baltimore Ravens, but they're both inexperienced at the head coach level. They're both defensive coaches. They both have done many a year interned and DC and what have you. I think this is going to be a very low scoring game. I think it's going to, like you just said about being fought in the trenches, I think you're going to see a lot of 4 and outs from both teams because I think the game is just going to be played in the middle of the field. I don't think it's going to be that exciting, and it could be that one mistake costs you the game because if this was in Seattle, I would be less confident. The Bengals was one of those games that could have gone either way. I think this is another game. It could go either way. But
just to let you know with the Bengals, I said they were 4-5 in week 1 games. Well, in weeks 1 and 2, they're 1-8 in their last. They're 1-8 since Joe Burrow's been quarterback in weeks 1 and 2.
They ain't winning this week because they've got the Chiefs as well.
Not to say that I don't know my shit, but yes, I do know my shit. That's why I put the Pets to win. So. DJ, who are you keeping an eye on regarding Seattle? Because although their quarterback is Geno Smith, he's not a scrub. Yeah. He still can throw the ball when he has got. I'll probably say he's a bit more faster on his wheels than Brissett is, but only very, very just.
I thought against Denver, they had a slow start. It took them a while to kind of like get into the game, and then they started like converting points. But Denver was in it quite most of the whole game, so it wasn't like kind of like a blowout from Seattle side. What does worry me is they have a good secondary and those middle linebackers as well, which that it's going to be a different ball game versus what we've just had versus the Bengals. So I think it's going to be a tough matchup. I think it's going to be a defensive matchup, like what Nick said. I don't think there's going to be much in it. It might be like a field goal, or like Nick says, it might be a mistake, a turnover that determines the game. But yeah, because it's at home, I don't know. It's a tough one to kind of decide who's going to take this one.
Kieran?
Yeah, I think this is a real challenge for our brand new and young receiver core because we're going up against a very good secondary. And I agree with what Nick said. I think this will be a game where they'll stack the box to try and stop Ramondre and say, go on, Jacoby, see what you can do through the air against our secondary. So I do also think it will be a low-scoring game. But I do think, similar on the lines to what JD said earlier, I think our defense will keep us in this game. I think we match up quite well against them. I think that my one concern, maybe we haven't really had a test on the ground yet. And Kenneth Walker is an outstanding young running back who would have had a second touchdown the other night if it hadn't been called back. And he ran all over Denver. And obviously with no Barmore, how are we going to cope with that? But yeah, I think when we were coming into the season, we were doing our predictions. I had this down for a win. I also do agree it could go either way because I think it is sort of a borderline coin flip game. But I kind of think that we were all predicting mostly a win coming into the season with a lot less expectation than what we've now got after the week 1 win. So I think we will win this game. I think we will just edge it. But I think it'll be low scoring and it'll be a real defensive scrap.
Joe, what about you?
I think exactly the same. I think if you look at, and we talked a lot about the Seahawks secondary and linebackers, but their D line is massive. They've got 3 absolute huge bodies on that line, and that's going to be tough, especially considering the RO line. It's another challenge. See, Jonathan Hankins playing at nose tackle for them as well. It's just, I think, it's an absolute beast. And then obviously Leonard Williams as well. And they can got Byron Matthew can come in, Jerome Reed. They're a very, very talented team on defense. And I think, again, it's going to be another test for the O-line. I think it's going to be more of a test this week than it was last week. And I think I agree where they're going to stuff the box and say, right, well, throw the ball, Jacoby. Beat us in the air if you can. And again, yeah, and special teams as well. Special teams is going to be huge, and we need to continue improving on that week in and week out.
JD, what about you?
I think it's going to be a tight game. I think offensively we may really struggle. They finished, I think they were the PFF's top-ranked defense of week 1. They got like a 91 grade, which is stupidly high. Their secondary is, for my opinion, the best secondary in the NFL. It is phenomenal. Having said that, I don't think that matters anything because we can't throw the ball for shit and we're not going to try, are we? So what's the point having fantastic corners if the other team never throws the ball? So I think they're weaker in run defense. I think that probably plays to our advantage. I don't envision us having a great deal of success with any kind of true passing sets. But I think defensively, I'm quietly confident. They have, as Anthony Bradford, I think their right guard was just horrible, absolutely horrible. George Fant's day-to-day with his knee injury, he went out and Stone Forsyth came in for him and he was not good. I think there's a lot of opportunity to pressure them. And I think secondary-wise, I think we match up really nicely. I like the players we have at outside corner and slot match up quite well. I think DK Metcalf can be shut down by Christian Gonzalez because I think that's the kind of receiver Gonzalez thrives against, is bigger receivers that want to attack downfield. I think he's going to be okay there. I actually think Tyler Lockett, who is just brilliant, just generally, how he's still doing what he's doing at his age is fantastic. But I think Jonathan Jones is good enough to cover him, especially with safety help. And then Jackson Smith and Jigba been taken by Marcus Jones in the slot, who I thought was, we haven't really mentioned Marcus Jones yet. I thought he was brilliant. And Jonathan Jones was even better. The tackle of Jonathan Jones made on 4th down, I thought was phenomenal in the Bengals game. So I think he, for me, as much as I was impressed with Gonzalez, Jonathan Jones actually impressed me more at the weekend. I thought he did a really, really great job. And I'll be interested to see how he matched up against Tyler Lockett. So I think there's a good chance we could come out. And I know that Seattle game was a game of 2 halves where they were awful. They were down 10-0 to Denver, who were just terrible.
With 2 safeties, by the way, just around the top of that, 2 safeties. What
a ridiculous game. It was nonsense game. But yeah, I think in the second half they looked a hell of a lot better. And I think it might be a struggle for us to score points. And I think we've seen the way that we're going to win games. It's don't kill ourselves. It's play conservatively, and it's run the ball and it's play good D. I think we have a good opportunity to shut them down. I just don't know if we can score enough. I think Geno Smith. I like Geno Smith as a quarterback. I think he's good, and so I think he might be a little bit too much for us. But I think it'll be a 3-point game either way. I'm just not sure who I think will win yet.
Okay. Nick, we'll move on to the sizzling pick 6. Have you got the results from last week? Because when we saw after the Brazil game, the biggest total someone had got was 5 points. So I guess we were nowhere near our scores at all. By the way it looks.
After 6 games, you're right. The top score. There were 3 people who had scored 5 points by the end of Friday. By the end of the week, after 6 games, 2 people scored 9, 2 people scored 10, 1 person scored 11, but the leader out front is rocking a 15. So basically, it was a lot of, pick up points, a couple of points here, a couple of points there. Joe did really well. Give his cred because he nailed almost bang on twice with the score. He was a few points out on 2 games. But, everyone was consistent. It's fair enough to say there was consistency across the board of picking up little points here and there, and that effectively in the game, that's all you can do. Keep picking up a few points here, a few points there, and hopefully at the end of the game, you've picked up enough, I guess.
Okay. So what are the games we have got for week 2 then? Who have you decided?
I have decided on, as normal, the New England Patriots. They are game 1. Game 2 is Thursday night football or Friday morning football for us. The Buffalo Bills at the Miami Dolphins. Game 3 is the New Orleans Saints at the Glory Hole Dallas Cowboys. Because Jerry loves a bit of Glory Hole, apparently. That's the best interview I've ever seen. I really do love that interview. San Francisco 49ers at the Minnesota Vikings. The Cincinnati Bengals at the Kansas City Chiefs. And to round the week off, the Chicago Bears at the Houston Texans. Your bonuses this week will be over and under of 5.5 touchdowns in each game, and over or under of 6.5 field goals in each game. I know we're running out of time, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all this on our chat and just send me your scores by sort of Thursday kickoff, and I'll put them all in. We won't worry about it now because we've run late. So I'll stick it all in a text, and then you guys just let me know what you want me to put in, and I will do.
Okay, all right, no worries. That's good. That's good so far. And Joe, obviously you're the one that's leading the fantasy league, and unfortunately my team sucks booty, which is myself, is sitting nearly at the bottom. Quite a few incredibly good victories. Yeah. So
I welcome the challenge.
It's going to be a fairly good challenge. Keep us updated on the chat.
Yeah.
And
the question I've got though, Joe, is: did your 7-year-old son win his first game?
Oh, do you know what? I didn't realize till this morning that Christian McCaffrey was
out. I think he lost against me.
Yeah, so he was starting at running back. So I don't know.
He didn't switch him out in time. He didn't switch him out.
Too late. Even though it was too late.
Oh yeah, but yeah, we'll leave it. Yeah, we'll leave it at that then. But this week, I've got to take this fucker down. I've got to take JD down because it's going to be me and him this week. So bring it on, JD.
Well, hopefully I'll remember to check my lineup before kickoff. We had all the family around and I was making all the food and totally forgot to check the inactives, and T. Higgins being out totally screwed me over because he was starting at wide receiver 2 for me. So it didn't work out very well.
I think when I looked at your lineup, I think 4 of your players are playing Monday Night Football. I'm going to be absolutely bricking it. No, no, my players will be done with. Like, oh shit. Anyway, right, we are getting on now, guys. Thank you to DJ, thank you to Nick, JD, Joe, and Kieran. Yes. We'll be back the same time again next week for a review of the Seattle Seahawks game. We come away 16-10 win over Cincinnati. The Patriots are 1-0. The drive for 5 is on. Make sure you smash the like button on your way out. You gronk spike the subscribe button. Tell all your friends. Follow us on all our social media platforms. Follow the podcast on Spotify and follow us on the Sports Social Network as well. Good night. God bless. Go Patriots. Let's go.
Laters.